Tina Ostyn, my sister, lived almost 18 years with severe spastic cerebral palsy, a condition which refers to the inability to relax one's own muscles throughout the body. This condition caused Tina to have the disability to walk, talk, or take care of her own needs. For the rest of her life, she was handicapped and needed to be taken care of by other people. What effect did Tina have in their lives, and does her memory still live with them today?
At 4 months old, she was developing normally, and she, I guess you'd say contracted or developed congenital cataracts in both eyes. Had them taken out. She had, in my mind, an allergic reaction to the anesthesia and didn't gain any weight in her 5th month. So took her back to the hospital, and she had a multitude of tests and found nothing wrong with her, and basically she just never developed. So I would say probably about 8 or 9 months when she wouldn't sit up did we realize that there was something wrong with her. I don't think you fully realize what you're going to miss. I mean, there are certain things that hit you all at once, that she'll never walk, she'll never talk. I mean, sometimes it's almost too much to comprehend. But I think that as time goes on, you just accept it. A child like Tina is not a one-person job. And as she got older, she progressively got worse. So it became even more imperative that she had other help besides me.
Her mom had called me and asked me if I could keep Tina after school, because she knew I had a daycare. And so I never met Tina before the first day Tina came off the van. And of course, being so tiny, I just held her just like a baby. And the next thing I know, she was clamping onto me with her little teeth. And I had a big old bruise. I said, I had no idea Tina bit. Nobody ever told me she bit. So so that was Tina and I's introduction. I don't know if Tina wasn't happy about it.
I think the first memory I have of Tina was when Mom got her off the school van, and your mom didn't tell us that she bit, and Tina latched onto my mother and wouldn't let go and just kept biting her. And it wasn't really funny at the time, but it's funny now because we didn't know that she, bites. But she had a full set of teeth, and how that goes. So I think that was my first memory.
Tina, in her own way, touched a lot of lives. Anyone that cared for her loved her, and there was a certain sparkle to her. I mean, she laughed and she smiled, and she was very happy in her own world, and people just loved her.
I mean, I think a lot of Tina's appeal to people was just her. I mean, physically she was so tiny, and honestly, I was told by one of the caseworkers that I like to dress Tina up like a baby doll.
Shopping for her, it was so much fun. It was like dressing a little doll, kind of it was so much fun. She wore we could go to Old Navy and go crazy, go to Gap and stuff like that. It was fun because just because she was different than other people didn't mean we were feeling out of place or whatever.
I mean, you may think you have it bad because you don't have the exact pair of jeans you want, or you don't have the exact more than 5 pairs of sneakers, and then you realize there are kids who truly have it much worse than you do. And Tina did have every pair of sneakers because of Melissa. Tina had every pair of known sneakers to man, Nike or Jordans. She had lug boots, of which I just gave the last 2 pairs of her shoes away to somebody because I couldn't give them forever. I couldn't give them away. I gave them to one of my daycare kids. Her Reeboks and her lugs. Honest to God, within the last 2 weeks gave them away. I couldn't give them away. I just kept keeping. I don't know why.
Her favorite soup was pea soup, but this isn't what she was getting that day. I was feeding her a vegetable and pudding. She liked the pudding, but she didn't like the vegetables. So I'd give her a spoonful of pudding, and then I'd give her a spoonful of the vegetable.
Dog Coco, who we inherited when she was older, and this was when Tina, she came after school every day, but I'm pretty sure this is when she would stay a couple nights a week here. And every day when Tina would come home from school, I would lay her in on my daughter's bed, and she would sleep for maybe an hour, hour and a half. And Coco would get up and lay right across the bottom of the bed, and every time before Tina would wake up, she would have her 1 foot on Coco, And I don't know if it was the warmth of Coco she liked, and it was like Coco was guarding, because Coco sensed that Tina, would needed probably a little more protection than most kids. So she was right there beside her. And
I don't know, it was definitely a major adjustment when she came, because she was obviously wheelchair bound. When we first got her, she was little enough and skinny enough that you could just pick her up and take her wherever you wanted to take her, and then put her in like a stroller. But as she grew taller and bigger, it was a little bit different. She had to be in a bigger wheelchair, and all those adjustments had to be made.
Little girl, she laughed a lot. She cried. And I think the favorite picture I have of her is with her grandfather right after she was born. He was talking to her, and she looked up at him as if she knew everything he was saying.
But as far as other sacrifices, Tina slept upstairs where I slept, so sometimes at night when she would get upset, like it could be a nightmare or something, you don't know because she doesn't talk, but I remember that I would, go in her room until I could calm her down, which sometimes could be like a very long time. And Tina didn't always like to be cuddled like a child or a baby would. Sometimes she just wants to, be left alone, but you just have to be there for her.
It takes away time from your other children. It takes away time from your marriage. Arrangements need to be made if there are things going on. There have been times that, like, I would take her to your baseball games and have to leave because she was screaming or crying or throwing up.
Her needs were met. I think her mother took good care of her. I think her brother took good care of her too. He used to feed her, and when she had the feeding tube in, he was able to take the feeding tube out or put it back in.
I mean, a big thing is like when they'll start to develop scoliosis, and that can have like huge problems with it, just because it literally will scrunch their organs. I mean, because when your spine's pretty much what holds your body up.
When she got really sick and lost the weight, what happened was that could have all been avoided with a phone call. When she went in the hospital and lost like 5 pounds, that emergency doctor, not knowing her, thought that I had starved her, that she couldn't even talk, didn't even ask me if she was handicapped. And Dr. Morton, her family physician, could have taken care of that with one phone call. He had no idea she was handicapped. He came in screaming that she's so sick she can't even talk, and I said she can't talk.
I mean, the scoliosis did get pretty bad. She also had to have her stomach turn, because her reflux just got so bad that she just wasn't keeping hardly anything down. So they put a feeding tube in, which is a lot. I mean, that's a lot of special needs people. Probably the majority of people I know that end up in wheelchairs and stuff end up with feeding tubes, because they'll aspirate. A lot of them develop dysphagia, which is they have difficulty swallowing, and aspirating is a huge thing, because a non-ambulatory person aspirates, they end up with pneumonia, and where you and I, the regimen of antibiotics for 10 days can be a life-threatening situation for somebody like Tina who can't walk and non-ambulatory. They depend on you to move them, and they depend on you to not let things settle in their lungs, and it can be a big thing for somebody like Tina.
Tina was loved, Tina is missed, but the Lord knew what he was doing when he took her.
She was very happy in her own world, and people just loved her. So I think that she, in her own way, spread a lot of love.
Tina wasn't with us anymore. Not only the time you spent taking care of somebody like Tina, but like at night, I would hear her she'd be cracking up. You guys probably remember, when you guys would be here at night and stuff. She'd be laughing. We had no idea what she was laughing at. But until Tina was gone, and I would think I heard her, then, you really honestly don't realize, I don't think, until it's not there, what a big part of your life the kids like Tina play.
You start off at first, I think, with special kids, and you want to teach them everything, and you want to accomplish certain things, but then they end up teaching you so much, because everything in life I think you kind of take for granted, such as walking and stuff like that, or feeding yourself. But then when you have a person like that in your life, you really can't complain about the little things that you want and don't have. So I think I learned a lot about myself through caring for Tina.
Like I've had a lot of parents that have thanked me for having special needs children like Tina here, because it opened up their kids' eyes, as without the kids realizing it, because they were so young. They were very accepting, that just because a child doesn't talk or walk, or they're in a wheelchair, doesn't mean that they're either a bad or a scary person.
Taught me patience and unconditional love, because you never heard "I love you, Mommy."
I enjoyed her. She cried real hard, but then she laughed real hard too. At times she was very happy, and times she was unhappy. But we loved her and wished that she was still with us.
This is the final resting place for Tina, next to the fireplace in her mother's home. As her brother, I had the privilege of being related to such a special person, and if she had never been in my life, I would not be the person I am today. This is a gift for Tina and all the people who loved her, a memoir for Tina.